In this video, you are going to learn about the SQL Console feature in Plant and App configuration. As you develop your applications, you will come back to this tool often. You can use it for preparing and testing SQL statements for tokens, drop-down data sources, grid data sources, and other places where you need to add SQL. You can see the results of the statement and export the results to Excel, CSV, and JSON. The console also allows you to see the tables and columns that have been created by the Plant and App Entity Builder so you can easily see your app schema. Of course, when dealing with being able to directly query the application database, security is of great concern. We have made the SQL Console disabled by default. In order to see and use it, it needs to be enabled in Plant and App General Settings from the configuration page. The user enabling the feature must be in either the admin's or system administrator's role, or a super user. To use the console, a user must be in the citizen developers, low-code engineer, or administrator roles, or a super user. Admins, since they can enable the feature, can see the console in Plant and App configuration, but they cannot use it as the buttons are disabled for them. The idea is that an admin is responsible for general management of the system, but they aren't developing an application. The citizen developer and low-code engineer roles are the ones developing and are most likely to need access to the console. As I proceed through this demonstration, note that the user I am logged in with is in both the admins and low-code engineer roles. To enable the SQL Console, from Plant and App Configuration, navigate to General in the left-hand column. Locate the Enable/Disable SQL Console toggle button. If you do not see the button, you do not have the role needed to enable it. In this case, you should contact your system administrator. Toggle the setting on. Click Save in the upper right corner to save all general settings. The page will refresh, and now you should see the SQL Console option in the left column. I'll navigate to the page and we can start learning about it. First, let's enter a simple query to select records from the user table. And that is simply select star from users. Now I'll click the Run Query button and we'll see the results at the bottom of the page. Now let's take a look at the right side of the page. Notice here you see the details for each of the tables associated with your entities and the standard built-in entities. If you expand one of the entities, you are able to see each property and the SQL data type for the property. So for example, we have status, which is an integer, and null values are allowed. Or email, which is an invarchar 320, and null values are not allowed. If you click one of the properties, the column name is copied to your clipboard. Let's try building a query of an entity table using this feature. First, I'm going to delete the previous query. I'm going to query the ticket table and join it to the status table to get the correct status name. So I'm going to type select, and for now I'm going to put star, from, and now I'll get the ticket table. And I'm going to alias that with T. And now I'm going to join it to the status table. So I'll copy the status table name, and I'll alias that as S. And we'll join it on the status ID equals the ticket status. Now, I don't want to pull back all of the data from both the ticket and status tables, so I'm going to change the star to t.id and t.subject and t.status and the status name. Let's go ahead and try running that. So I click Run Query, and you can see I got the results I was looking for, the subject of the ticket, the status, and the name of the status. I'm done with the status and ticket entities now, so I'm going to go ahead and collapse those. And now I want to see what's going to happen if I do something wrong in my query. So I'm going to go to the status here and change that to Q. And I'll go ahead and click on Run Query. And you can see I get an error at the bottom of the screen, indicating that the multi-part identifier Q.status could not be bound, because of course I haven't aliased anything as Q. So let me change that back to T. And let's say I just add an S onto my from and run query, and then I get a message indicating that there's an incorrect syntax near app. So let me fix that and run it again, make sure I'm getting my correct results. So now that I have my query showing tickets and statuses, I may want to use it again. If I do, I can save it by clicking the Save Query button. And here I get a pop-up. Since this is a new query, the new query option is auto-selected for me. I'll call my query Tickets and Statuses. And then go ahead and click Save. Now I can see that Tickets and Statuses is a saved query. Now let's say I decide I want to make a change to my saved query. I'm going to add email address to my query, so I'll put it right after subject. And let's just make sure I have the correct property name. So I'll go ahead and get email from over here and paste it in. And let me test that. I'll run the query. And I see right away, of course, I did something wrong here. And let's take a look. And it appears as if I left out a comma. So let me go ahead and add that in and then run the query again. And now you can see I'm getting my subject with email, status, and status name. Now, if I want to save this, when I click Save Query, notice that it's defaulted to Update Existing Query because it knows that I have a query loaded in that's already saved in the system. So all I have to do is just click Save. Now, if I refresh the page, all I have to do is go to my saved queries and select that query, and it's automatically loaded into the editor for me. And then I can go ahead and click Run Query. Now that I have some results that I like, I can export these results to Excel, CSV, or JSON. I'll export the results to CSV. You can see it downloaded, and now I can open it and view the results. And there's the same results in my exported file. I'll go ahead and close that. Now, let's say I have created a query in another application such as SSMS. Of course, I can paste it in here and run it, but I also have the option of uploading the query from a text file. To upload it, I just select the Upload File option at the top here. And then note that for security reasons, the file must be a .text file. So if you had a file that was a .sql file, all you'd have to do is just convert that to .text and then you can upload it. So I'm going to click on Choose File. And then I have this one right here, ticketdetails.txt, and I'll select that and open it and click Upload. And you can see it populates into the editor immediately on upload. And now I can go ahead and run it. And then you can see the results here. And of course, I can export the results to Excel, CSV, or JSON. And now I can save this for others to use. So I'll go ahead and click on Save Query. Now I still have tickets and statuses selected in my saved queries dropdown, but I want to save this as a new query. I don't want to overwrite my existing one, so I'm going to switch to new mode, and I'm going to call this Extended Ticket Details, and then click Save. Remember that any queries that are saved here are available to any users who have access to the SQL Console page. I'm going to go ahead and refresh again and just show you that now I have tickets and statuses that I can load into the editor and extended ticket details that I can load into the editor. The other important note here is that every time someone runs a query using the console, an event is logged in the admin log. To see those, all you have to do is go to Logs, and you'll see an event called SQL Query Executed. And there's my last one right there. And you can see it gives the person who executed it and the text of the query they executed. In this video, you have learned how to implement and use the SQL Console feature in Plantinap. I hope you see how powerful this can be in your app development. If there is another feature you'd like to see in a future video, please leave a comment below. For more great low-code content, make sure you subscribe to Plantinap by clicking the subscription button below.